Hey everybody, Elisa here with another Vera Bradley bag of the day. Today I'm doing a viewer request that I got recently after I did my top 10 patterns list. Top 10. Top 10 that was really 14 because I have trouble making decisions. Which is probably why I have so many Vera Totes, as you can see behind me. I got a request after doing that video, would I consider doing a video just showcasing all of my Vera Totes? And so I said, sure. um, forgetting that I'd have to try to fish them all out of my closet. Oh my God, what an ordeal that was. Anyway, so I'm only going to show the current version Veras that I have because I do have a few vintage, and I have one that's like the previous version of this right before this one. So I'm not including those in the video. These are just the iconic Vera Totes, even though they don't seem to be using that word on the website anymore. It's still on the hang tag. So these are all my iconic Vera Totes. This is the larger size, the regular size, not the small. I'm not a big fan of the small. It's a little too small for me. It's sort of ironic that I have so many of these because when I was first getting into Vera, I thought, and that was about 2-3 years ago now, I thought, this bag is, gigantic, and who is ever going to want to carry such a Gigunda bag around with them as their regular bag every day? It's impractical. However, I realized I still was managing to acquire them. When I realized that, I was up to about 8, and we'll see how many I have. I'm way past that now. As most people know from listening to if they've listened to some of my other videos, I don't have a lot of money to spend on this kind of stuff, and so I get gift cards for myself with my credit card points and combine them with sales and coupons to really get prices down and just use my gift cards. So it's very rare that I buy anything full retail. So, that makes it seem a little less bad. That makes the insanity behind me seem a little less insane. So anyway, most everything here is a pattern except for this one, so I'll just start with this one and get it out of the way. This is the Blackberry Wine Velvet, and I did get this in an online outlet sale recently, and I think my guess would be that this was a fall or a winter 2019 release, just going from the lining, which is that great Foxwood Menagerie lining, and in this bag it's in this sort of wine color. Oh, the sun just went behind the cloud. So it was such a good price, and this line, it's hard to resist this lining. This lining is the newer fabric that they've started replacing the nylon linings with, so that's great. So just a great, sort of rich, inky kind of eggplant color, and definitely more of a winter bag. So that's that. Now we'll get to the pattern. So, I do usually, in my videos, go over the dimensions and features of the bag, and I do have a number of videos on this style already, so I won't spend too much time on that, but just your basics here for anyone who's curious. The top opening is about 17. These are not super precise measurements, but they're fairly close. 14 high, so 14 high, 17 on the top opening. The strap drop is about 12 inches, and the base this way is about 6. So you've basically got your slip pocket on the front with a zipper pocket on top of it, and the back doesn't have anything. This zipper has been that scratchy metal zipper for a while, but they recently replaced it with the silver tone plastic zipper. That's great. I love that zipper. It works really well. So I do have some bags with that. This one is still the old metal one. And then you got, all of them have that soft plastic zipper on top. It's a recessed zipper. And this hidden slip pocket here next to that top zipper. So that's a nice feature. Inside is just 6 slip pockets. And those slip pockets are about 5 by 8, 5.5 by 8. And I know that because that's the measurement of my iPad mini, and I slip them in there all the time. I slip the iPad mini in the pockets all the time. So that's great. That's a good size pocket. So this pattern is, most people know, is Cat's Meow. This was fall 2019 and a limited edition. Very frustratingly so. I did get this in a signature store, and I'm so glad I did. I mean, I was almost talking myself out of it, but I'm glad I didn't, because I love this bag and I do use it. And I'm never really, I mean, I'm an animal person. So in that sense, I am a cat person, and probably if I didn't have my husband to rein me in, I might have cats as well as dogs. But I'm more of a dog person for sure. So I was very surprised in myself for just liking this pattern so much, but I appreciate this pattern from an artistic standpoint, from a design standpoint. Whoever drew this, just is spot on, really got the body postures and the curiosity of the cats down just so well. And it's a great rich bluish gray background, so the few color touches really pop well. Also, because there aren't that many different colors, that helps. Keeps the pattern in check so it doesn't feel too crazy, doesn't get too busy, and still reads well. So, you know, your orange for the calico cats, and your pink for the yarn and the cat's toys, and the green for the cucumber. They all pop real well. You know, I've heard rumors that the plan was to release a Halloween version of this, or maybe re-release this. I'm not sure if any of those are, will come to pass, especially now that there's a whole coronavirus issue maybe affecting production, but that's what I heard. So I'd be all over a Halloween version of this for sure. I saw that people may have seen the one-off that they did on that was a giveaway a while back, and it's just great. I mean, cats with witches hats, and just the color was a little bit different. The background color was a little bit lighter. I mean, it's great. It's a great lining. The bird cages, including the empty one. There's an empty one there with some feathers. This lining fabric is the newer lining fabric that they're using to replace the nylon, that noisy, slippery nylon. So it's great. Really, I feel like it helps the bag maintain its structure a little bit more, because that lining fabric has more body on its own. It's a little bit stiffer than the nylon. So that is Cat's Meow. This is in no particular order. It's just how I plunked them down on my bed. This is Stitched Flowers, winter 2018. And, two things tend to happen to me when I look at patterns when they first come out and I'm seeing them on the website first. Either I think they're great and I'm sure I'm going to be all over them and I'm going to want everything in them. And then I go see it in person and for some reason I don't like it. Or I see it on the website, I think it looks very flat. That's been happening a lot lately. And then I see it in person and I change my feeling about it and I really like it. So this was one where I saw the pictures on the website and I said, oh, I'm going to need that. And then I went into Hallmark and saw it for the first time and I couldn't get past the black touches in the design for some reason. It just really jumped out at me. I said, okay, well, I could pass on this. Even though I do think it looks very pretty in the Glenna. But when it retired and came to the online outlet sale, another Vera thing happened to me, which is as soon as a pattern goes on sale or goes retired, I become obsessed with it. And then I run around trying to find a good deal on something with good pattern placement before I can't get it anymore. And that's what happened here. And like I said, I ordered this in an online outlet sale, so very cheap. I don't remember any of these prices, but very inexpensive. And of course, took a chance with pattern placement. And people watch my videos, they probably know I'm kind of finicky about pattern placement. That's where my OCD girl comes out, who lives inside me, comes out. So I feel very lucky here. I feel like I'm very pleased with the pattern placement, especially up here. And so I feel like I lucked out. But good balance overall. And the larger elements of the pattern filling up the space nicely. This is again still the older style metal zipper. I think I was also a little sensitive to the bright coral piping on this and the matching pleather. Not a big fan of the pleather in general, and not a big fan of it in these bright colors. Or for some reason, certain colors in this pleather really have an aversion, even more of an aversion to. The back can get an overall feel of the pattern there. And so it gets its name from the background, which you can see looks like small stitches. You might make on a sewing machine or quilt top. People are familiar with quilting. And quilting the top onto the batting. And something that I did always like about this pattern, even from the very beginning, was the lining. Couldn't get the lining out of my head, and I'm not a girly hearts kind of person. But I think it's something about the colors of the color combination, the very inky red with the very inky blue outlines, that really I couldn't get it out of my mind. I really do like that color combination of a deep red and a deep blue. I've talked about that in other videos. So, yeah, I think part of me wanted a bit of that lining. So this was a bag where the lining kind of pushed me over the edge, I think, to get it. And I'm pleased with it, and I do use this bag. I've used it quite a bit. For anyone who's wondering, also, these bags have a base, but it's not removable. And it's not as stiff as like the old school cardboard or even like the plastic that was coming in the version before this, that you could slip out. It was in a sleeve and that was tacked into the base and the bottom of the bag, and you could slip the stiffener out and then wash the bag. You can't do that. These are non-removable bases. There's something in there. They're definitely softer, more malleable, But I have washed a number of my Veras in the washing machine, and they all go through fine. I haven't had any problems with it. And sometimes it actually can even help you reshape things and get better shape to your bags if you do that. This is Bramble. This was also winter 18, so that's interesting. So this was winter 18. I hope I have these right. If some of my dates seem a little odd, you can check me on the Vera Bradley website in their pattern archive. This is Bramble, another pattern that I saw in pictures, thought it looked great, saw it in person, couldn't get past the black, which is odd because I have other bags with black backgrounds that I'm not sensitive to, but I was very sensitive to the black background here. The whole thing just felt very dark. And so I said, I think I don't need that. I can live without that. I do think it's a very well-named pattern, especially if you look at this part of the pattern without the medallions, because it does give you that sort of bramble feel, like you're in a fairy tale walking in sort of a thicket or dark woods. It's daytime out, but the woods are so thick that you can't really see the sky, and it starts to look like it's not daytime anymore, and maybe there's a witch about or a fairy or something, a wizard that you're going to come upon. So I do think that it does give you that feel, and it's well named. I might have also been very sensitive to this flower. I'm not crazy about this particular kind of magenta purple. I never have been, and so maybe in combination with the black, I was having sort of an aversion to it. But in typical fashion, as soon as it started to go on sale and looked like it was being retired, I panicked and decided I needed it. I became obsessed with it and ran around like a maniac, you know, trying to find good pattern placement on a good sale item. And that's what happened here. And so I know some people probably maybe are not so fixated on the medallions. Maybe they like this. And I do. I love everything that's going on in here. And I love the palette. It's very subtle. There's a lot of soft, light pink and blue shades in here that are very nice. But I do think the medallion aspect is important, and it's kind of, I mean, it's very medieval looking, almost like a stained glass rose window or something. And I do think it's an important part of the pattern. And so for me, you know, it was important to get that element not to cut off. I was also seeing bags that hardly had any of this because of the way the fabric had to be cut up to construct the bag. And so it was just, you know, dumb luck that those bags didn't really have this element at all. Which I guess, you know, could be interesting in and of itself. You know, if you don't get any of this, then that might be a nice look. But if this is awkwardly cut off, I think it's not as appealing. And so I felt very pleased when I saw this one, and you know, it's these two on the side kind of balance it out nicely. Now, I don't need everything to be perfectly centered with this. In fact, I feel like the medallions maybe are a little bit better when they're slightly off center. You don't want it to look too perfect. It's more visually interesting when they're a little bit off. But you want to get a good look at those medallions, I feel like, in some areas. This gives you a good sense of this part, right? The bramble part. That scrolling vine. And it's nice too, this pattern, because it makes use of a coordinating trim. Not all patterns do that. You know, Stitched Flowers doesn't have this pattern didn't have a coordinating trim to it, and neither did Cat's Meow. So this has that trim. So that's always nice. I did consider getting this also in the Carson North-South tote, but for some reason I wasn't as crazy about it in that style. I really like it in the style. Maybe it has to do with the shape of the bag and the pattern combination, or the side trim. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I saved myself a little money there. Not much though, right? I think move on to this. Again, no particular order, just what's closest. This is Sure Thing, and this was spring 2019. Loved this pattern from the moment I saw it, but it took me a while to get it because I couldn't get to too many stores, and the stores that I could get to easily didn't have good pattern placement. And for me, as I've said a number of times in videos with this, when I show this pattern, when I saw this pattern, it was all about the seahorses for me. Yes, there are turtles, and the turtles are cute, and some people really like the turtles, but for me, it was all about these coral-colored seahorses. Just so well done. And I like that this looks, like I've said recently, it looks like you're looking at an aquarium or an underwater scene. I mean, it's just, I love that free-flowing, free-form kind of look. It's not very rigid, it's not very repetitive looking. I mean, there is a repeat, there's a pattern repeat, but it's not very structured pattern. And it's just beautifully done. All the details are beautifully done. All the variety of corals, all the other sea foliage, fish, numerous starfish designs in here too. Look at that great fish there. And the background itself is not just one color, you can see. It's two different colors. Another starfish. There's a turtle. So I did get this on, I think it might have been Poshmark. and was able to see the pattern placement. It was new with tags. But I did wash it. I washed it. Went through fine. And this is a nice lining. It's still the nylon lining, but it's pretty. With the scattered conch shells. Nylon though, noisy, a little noisy. And the older zipper still, the metal zipper. Oh my goodness. This is Park Lace, more recent. I mean, still current. This is spring 2020. We're having a tote sale right now, people, 30% off. And you can use coupons with it. Coupons work with it, so, you know, just a little tip. Just a little enabling there. I do have a video on this, a fairly recent video on this, and I love this. Again, saw the picture online, thought it looked very interesting, and then saw it in person and wasn't crazy about it, but I think that had more to do with the bag style. And so I do love a lining, and I wanted to get something with the lining. So I did break down and get it when it was on sale. I don't, to me this doesn't say lace to me. To me this says zigzag stitching that you would do on a sewing machine. I do think it's interesting. My mom used to sew, so maybe that's why. It's a great color. It's looking a little vivid like blue here. It's a little bit more muted in person and a little bit grayer, but it does have a blue cast. I mean, it's definitely like a chambray color. It's definitely a light, like grayish blue. Very pretty, very delicate. As someone said to me, very relaxing. I think that's a very good way to describe this pattern. That's not my word. I think it's a very good description. It's relaxing, very calm. And the lining is this great, you know, there are hummingbirds in there. You can see one right there. There's another one there. More than one hummingbird design. This is a very soft, has a very soft feel to it, this particular bag. The lining is a little bit softer. The fabric of the lining is a little softer than, say, you know, the lining in Cat's Meow. The whole thing just has a softer feel to it, like almost a floppier feel to it. I don't know if that has something to do with the way it's constructed. It is a slightly different construction and printing process to get this pattern and the fabric, and that accounts for the slightly higher price point. Very pleased with it. And this is the newer zipper. This plastic silver tone zipper. So great, very soft. Love the feel of it. Works really well, doesn't catch. So pleased with that. The top zipper is your typical, you know, plastic zipper that matches the, you know, coordinates with the color of the pattern. So Park Lace, spring, what was that? Spring 2020. Okay, work my way around here. Oh, I guess we'll get this one over with. This is Autumn Leaves. I don't know the year on this one. This was a Dillard's, and I think maybe Macy's pattern that I sort of became fixated on a while ago, and I have shown it in videos before. This is definitely, I tend not to pay attention to patterns and seasons, but I do feel like this is more of a fall, winter bag, the color scheme. But I do like it. I have talked about this in other videos because I like the hand-drawn look of it. It reminds me of the way my dad would sketch out ideas, advertising ideas. There's something about the line work here. It just looks like, you know, something laid, the outlines look like they were laid down with Pentel marker. I don't know if everyone knows what those are. And then, you know, filled in with a fat, like, magic marker, very wet magic marker ink. That's what it reminds me of. It just reminded me of my dad a little bit, I think, and the drawing style that I was used to seeing these old school art director guys mock things up in. Very vivid colors. This color combination here of the teal and the orange always reminds me of the Miami Dolphins. Howard Johnson, the hotel chain, but also the Miami Dolphins. Don Shula just passed away. My dad liked him a lot. Good coach. Winning as coach, I think. Not sure. He's got some statistics there, records that haven't been broken yet, I don't think. Anyway. So it's very graphic, very strong pattern. Autumn leaves. The lining here, again, nylon. Not a huge fan of the lining, but yeah, it does matter to me. Sort of looks like a play on a houndstooth check. A little bit. Very abstracted. What else is back here? This is Holiday Owls. Have this written down. Fall 2018. Again, this was a really good sale on a Hallmark. I think maybe I got this for $25. Very cute. Again, seasonal. Although, you know, I have carried this at non-Christmas time, so, you know. Do whatever, do you, right? You do you. It is very pretty. I love the owl with the wings extended, that flying owl. The presents and the candy cane there, and the little Christmas tree decoration, the ball there. And it's a nice background color. It's navy. Navy is an elegant kind of color, and so it's nice. Little stars in the background, flowers, stardust. Again, this is still the old metal zipper and the nylon lining. I do like this lining. So it's Holiday Owls. I haven't used that one in a while. From Christmas to summertime, this is Beach Toile. This is 2020. This is a paper store exclusive pattern that I have thanks to someone in the online Vera Bradley focus group that I'm in. It was nice enough. I did a video about it. It's nice enough to pick this out for me. So I did want that lighthouse. I wanted a good lighthouse. And I don't have a paper store near me. It's a real beachy. It's coming in a little cool here. It's a little more aqua color here. I would say the background color really is that, like, you know, Bahamian kind of water color, that Caribbean water color. It's definitely coming in a little bluer here, and it's a little bit more aqua in person. But, you know, it's just got all the shore elements you would want if you're a beach person, which I am. This is the new zipper, and this is nice ribbon pull tie there instead of the pleather. That's great. Anytime they want to go, you know, go back to that, I'm all over that. I'm all for that. And the cotton lining, well, it's not cotton, but, you know, that cotton-like lining. So that's great because here it's very weighty, and I do think it helps the bag keep a nice shape. And a little delicate fish pattern in the lining. Those the red sort of coral colored fish in the lining. Again, which picks up those kind of elements here in the pattern, you know, even the towels. Those scallop shells have that color in it too. So very pleased with this. Definitely feels summery. But I have used it. It's not summer yet, and I have used it. Okay. Bordeaux blooms. This was probably one of the first. Slipping off my bed. This was probably one of the earlier Vera Tote buys that I made. I did have a Macy's gift card to use up, and it was on sale. I did get it on sale too, which is unusual. I feel like sometimes they don't let you. They don't have sales on Vera a lot. Peaches, what are you doing? Sorry for all the chewing background noises. So I got this at the Macy's in New York City, which is my hometown. I'm born and bred New Yorker, not living there right now though. And if anyone's familiar with the layout, okay, I'm sorry, I just have to get this bone away from her. Peaches, that's too noisy. You have to chew it over there. The handbag area sort of was surrounding border, sort of on a mezzanine above the ground floor area where all the makeup counters and perfume counters were. I'm not sure if they've changed things up since then, but as of a couple of years ago, it was still set up like that. And so it was a fabric bag. And you know how when you go into a department store and you go into that makeup area, you sort of hit with this wall of like random perfume. It's like this, all the perfumes have sort of melded together and you get this perfume smell. And that's what this bag smelled like, because it had been sitting in the mezzanine right above that area, just soaking up that scent. And so it doesn't smell like that anymore, but it did for a long time smell like that. And it made me happy that it smelled like that, actually, because it reminded me of my mom, because I would always go to department stores as a kid with my mom, and we would always go to the makeup section, and she would want to look at makeup, and, you know, she would buy things to get the free gifts, you know, and then we would share the stuff that was in the free gifts. If there was good stuff in the free gift, she would buy some things so we could get the free gift with the makeup and stuff. And so that smell, whenever I go into a department store, reminds me of that, doing that with my mom. And so this bag for a long time reminded me of that. And so I was kind of sad that it doesn't smell like that anymore, but it did have that smell for a long time. And with this pattern, Bordeaux Blooms, which is fall 2018, I was all about the dragonflies, obsessed. Had to get stuff with good dragonfly placement. Otherwise, to me, it's just a waste of money. And so when I saw this, you know, I thought, okay, I'm probably not going to do better than there. And there's a smaller one in the pattern there. I do think it's an interesting pattern. Not usually a burgundy person, but like I said, those dragonflies, I have a real hard time resisting the critters. It's a problem. I think there's a dragonfly there. I mean, it's very interesting. This is an interesting leaf, very Christmassy. I feel like this is a good Christmas bag, even though it's not technically a Christmas pattern. But I mean, these leaves are like holly, you know, or mistletoe, and there's another one. And so with that deep green with the sort of reddish burgundy, I think it works well at Christmas time. And this does have a side trim, which also has dragonflies in it. So this again, that nylon. It's nylon-ish, but it's not as slick feeling as the nylon in Bramble, which I never really noticed before. But it is still that nylon. Not really crazy about this interior pattern, but no, again, a non-issue for me. A lining pattern will never keep me from getting a bag. Might convince me to buy a bag though, even if I'm not so crazy about the outside. Hi, I'm Elisa, and I'm a Vera-holic. Okay. Ugh, getting there. This is Paisley. This is winter, I think, 2018. Oddly, the Pattern Archive didn't have a swatch for this, but it did have a swatch for the light nut version of this, which it had under the winter 18 season, so that's why I'm assuming this was winter 18. And I just got to start with the trim on this. Love the trim on this. Love these daisies and the trim. I think daisies are such a happy flower. And so I was always drawn to the trim on this tote. And I do have this in the Iconic 100, which has the thinner version of the trim. I'm a blue person, so I like that there's no background here. It's just this wild Paisley swirly drawing, and I do like that with the little touches, little pops of pink and a sort of mustard color. Actually, find there are these couple of big elements like this, and this, but it's sort of this like spade shape here, but it's the strap is sort of overlapping it. And those actually are my least favorite parts of the pattern. I actually like the smaller detail work in this pattern more than those bigger shapes. Like this stretch of arc of little daisies there. Picking up the daisies in the trim, sort of. Nice paisley there. Very pleased with this one. The lining is, again, nylon, your simple polka dot. Very, very subtle. Very pleased with that. I do use this a lot. I feel like I could see why they release this in winter time. To me, I think of this almost as like I do a winter white, kind of. I think it's good at winter time. It has kind of an icy feel to it, the color, and I like that, an icy blue. Animals, don't go crazy. This I talked about a bunch recently. This is Quilt Floral, which was the 2019 QuiltCon pattern that Vera Bradley did, limited edition, which when it first came out, I decided, oh, I don't really need that. Everyone's going crazy over that. I don't need it. And then, it sold out, felt like almost immediately, and then I was really sorry. I hadn't gotten it, and I did acquire it recently from someone who wanted to sell hers. This is a plastic color-coordinated zipper here, interestingly. Piped with denim, which I think looks really nice here. And I've talked about this pattern in a number of recent videos because I just love it. Love the lavender. Love the mashup of the different patterns, like it's a crazy patchwork quilt. As I always say, these strips that almost look like trim, like they're making reference to the trim aspect of the bag, the history of the company. It's like wallpaper trim, which if I'm not mistaken, I think is sort of what this the original idea was behind the trim, was that it was kind of like wallpaper trim. You guys need to stop it. You guys are shaking my camera. Be nice, or I'm gonna have to lock you up. Talk to them like they understand me. God forbid they don't have the same exact bone. I've got a gazillion bones on the floor. They always want the same bone. That's what's going on right now. Stop. Stop, Peaches. Peaches, stop. She's little. the inside pattern, and this is, you know, okay. It's a nice color though. I'm not crazy about the inside pattern, which I have shown in other videos. It is that cotton fabric, which is great. This bag has nice body. So I do like that. 2019 Quilt Floral. A lot of great purple colors in that. And also, I can reach it. You have the 2020 Quilt Con pattern, which is Cloud Vines Patchwork, which I got before I acquired this, the Quilt Floral. And I was thinking, I don't want to feel like I felt about the Quilt Floral. I don't want to feel that again. So I made sure to get this. But I gotta say, I don't love it as much as that Quilt Floral. That Quilt Floral was it for me. That was like major unicorn for me. But I'm pleased with this. I'm glad I have it. I love the pattern placement. I think I lucked out. And I do like the star motif, you know, because that's a traditional quilting motif that you see. And so I like that it's making use of that, although this is not actually pieced, you know, this is just printed. The design is printed. Not crazy about these big H-type shapes. I think that they could have done this pattern without something like that, because it really does pull the eye. They're very dominant looking, and those darker patches really do draw the eye. They draw the attention of the eye. You see them more here. I do like it. Again, it's coming out very blue. This is more of a teal color in person, and this part, which is the Cloud Vines fabric, this pattern, is much more, has a green, it's teal, it's very light, pale background, but it does have more green, minty kind of feel to it than it's coming out here. Again, the plastic front zipper there. Cloud Vines Patchwork. And getting down there. No, Rosie, you gotta wait for me. 2 more bags and then we'll go out. I hope she doesn't have an accident. 2 more bags. Last but not least. I got my Foxwood here. When this pattern came out, I thought it was interesting, but I thought it was, I wasn't crazy about the colors, especially these vivid orange and red tones. That's a little jarring and a little hot. But can't get past the critters. I have trouble. I have a problem. That's the first step to recovery, is admitting you have a problem. So when I saw this with the 2 foxes, yes, I'm going to come, Rosie. With the 2 foxes, I said, well, what are the odds? You know, gotta get it. And I love the trim in this pattern. Love it. I think it's gorgeous. I did want to show this in another video. I did acquire a vintage bag in Heather coordinate, and I feel like that pattern is very related to this. There's something about that pattern that really reminds me of this Foxwood trim. I feel like they just circled back around to themselves. I really love the reds and the orange and the purple. That color combination, these delicate flowers here, just great. And when you wear the bag, you know, this trim faces forward, so you get a nice look at it. Oh, there's a fox in the back too, I forgot. Yeah, I mean, what are the odds you get 3 foxes in one bag? There's a chipmunk. I do really like the jackrabbit in this pattern, but he's just on the bottom. My secret jackrabbit. Under the leaf. The leaf above the jackrabbit is very interesting. I like that you get the little speckles on his back. attention to detail is what's nice about Vera Bradley patterns. The lining, of course, is a gorgeous Foxwood Menagerie in purple with the critters popping very nicely. Love the lining. And as soon as this pattern came out, I said, why is this lining not an exterior fabric? It needs to be an exterior fabric. So when I'll be forever grateful to Lynn, a fellow Vera fan, who pointed out that the fabric was available in the custom bag section on the Vera Bradley website. And when my dog Duke died, I was so distraught, and still kind of am. I decided to do a custom bag and have some custom embroidery inside and my dad's handwriting about Duke, just to commemorate. And I was just trying to make myself feel better. And I was able to get that Foxwood Menagerie blue. This is the blue version on the outside, as it should be. So that's what this is. My custom Foxwood Menagerie blue tote. I would say this is probably the same time fall as the regular Foxwood, which was fall 2019. Oh no, I'm sorry, winter 2019. Love this blue. Very rich, very inky. Plastic zipper there. That's nice. And for the lining, I got the I don't know what they were calling this. It's also on the custom. It was anyway. I'm not sure what's still there, but in the custom fabric options, so maybe it's called Foxwood Blue. I'm not sure, but it has a blue background. It has a softer palette than what you see here. You can see the difference there. And so I got that on the inside because, as much as I like it, I do think it's very appealing with the softer palette. You know, it's always, I would be too worried to get it on the outside because I'd be worried I wouldn't get good critter placement, and, you know, I would just be too upset about that. You can sort of see the custom embroidery that is on the inside pocket. My father's handwriting. Yeah, so you load up a template onto the website and they translate it into the embroidery. And this is nice, heavy fabric because this is also probably doubling as the exterior fabric if you want to get it on the outside of a bag. So it's got a nice hand. It's nice and weighty, this lining fabric. So anyway, let's see if I can show if I got any critters. So here, the inside, you see the rabbit there and a fox there. So it's nice to get them, you know, it makes you feel a little emboldened, like, ooh, I'll do it on the outside and I'll get good critters, but it's too much of a risk for me. So, and they just increased the prices. I mean, this I did pay full price for. I was grieving and I was like, I don't care. I think it was $120. But now I think the custom Vera Tote is $150. So, you know, no more. No more. But anyway, there it is. Did I get them all? Yes, I did. Those are I think it might be like 14 or 15. Oh, that hurts to say that out loud. Vera Totes. And I hope that that was enjoyable for the viewer who requested it. It was sort of fun to do. I say sort of because now I had to put them all back, and that's going to take me forever. I have to work them all back into my closet. But anyway, no, it was fun to do. And so if anyone has viewer requests, you know, don't hesitate. I do try to accommodate them when I can. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully see you next time on Vera Bradley Bag of the Day.